The corporate world was recently shaken by a scandal emerging from the Nashik unit of the Tata Consultancy Services. For years, TCS has been regarded as a global leader and a global standard for HR policies and workplace safety. However, what began as a local tip-off has slowly evolved into a complex case of complete institutional failure. Today, we move past the headlines to conduct an academic analysis of how systemic coercion and harassment could always exist within a massive corporate framework. Hello aspirants, welcome to ARK Reflections IAS. I am Yogiraj. The scale of this case is unprecedented for the Indian IT sector. See, as shown in the news snapshots here, the investigation has already resulted in 9 FIRs and 7 major arrests. Perhaps most concerning is the timeline. These activities happened for, guess what, 4 years. This was not even an isolated incident, but a well-oiled network operating just in plain sight, raising immediate questions about the effectiveness of internal monitoring systems in large-scale BPO units. The discovery was as dramatic as the crime alleged itself. See, on the complaint of young Hindu women being coerced into Islamic practices, the Nashik police launched a covert operation. For 2 weeks, female constables were deployed undercover. They disguised as housekeeping staff. By working as invisible observers, they were able to document a culture of harassment and a culture of religious pressure that internal mechanisms had failed to catch, leading to the first set of arrests on March 26th. When we look at the data, a clear pattern of financial profiling is clearly visible. See, the victims were predominantly young women aged between 18 and 25, typically earning between 18,000 and 25,000 rupees per month. The accused specifically targeted those from financially vulnerable backgrounds or those facing family instabilities. By identifying employees who were dependent on their salaries for survival, the perpetrators ensured that there is a level of silence and compliance that allowed the abuse to continue for many years. Central to this failure is the role of the HR manager, Nida Khan. As you know, in any company, HR is the final line of defense for an employee's safety. However, the investigation suggests a total collapse of this protection. Khan is accused of ignoring harassment complaints and, more disturbingly, using her position of trust to actively teach female employees how to pray and pushing them towards religious conversion. This turns the safe space of a corporate office into a site of radicalization. The modus operandi observed here follows a classical cycle of grooming cycle. Senior team leaders would often allegedly make derogatory remarks about a woman's religion to break her spirit or cause distress. Once the victim was emotionally vulnerable, the HR manager would step in to offer consolation and support. This predator and protector routine was designed to win the victim's trust, making them more susceptible to lifestyle and religious changes. We must also address the intersectional nature of this particular crime. See, amongst the victims is a Dalit girl, highlighting how existing social and caste vulnerabilities are often weaponized within these corporate power structures. These financial chains meant that victims could not easily quit or report to the senior staff, as the fear of losing their livelihood or facing retaliation was far greater than a hope for justice. From an organizational standpoint, this is a catastrophic failure. The POSH was of no use. Prevention of Sexual Harassment Framework. See, for 4 years, complaints were allegedly suppressed. This suggests that paper compliance is never enough. The paper compliance that you can see on the website is never sufficient. When the very individuals who are appointed to the POSH committee or the HR departments become the facilitator of the abuse, the entire legal safeguard of the employee is completely neutralized. As the case progressed, it sparked massive socio-political division and debates. On one side, right-wing commentators highlight overseas links and Islamist agenda, using social network to frame this as an organized radicalization network. On the other side, parts of the left-wing and the liberal media have been critiqued for their perceived silence, especially when contrasted with how vocal they are when it comes to caste or majority-led crimes, leading to accusations that they view this as some sort of a conspiracy to alienate the minorities. To avoid the alienation of the broader community, the role of religious leadership is very vital. Institutions like the Shia or the Sunni boards have to come clear and take a stance publicly. See, by separating individual crime acts from the faith itself, these boards can prevent the stigmatization of an entire community while also ensuring that radicalization within these workplaces is rooted out. Fact-based justice must prevail over polarizing narratives. We must also confront the myth that higher education prevents radicalization. No, it is not the case. See, the accused in this case are not at all uneducated. They were senior professionals and team leads. We have seen this before also. Most recently in the Delhi terror plot where highly educated doctors were identified in a plot involving rice in poison. Crime, when religiously motivated, often bypasses educational barriers, making professional sensitization even more important. As the case remains sub judice, the way forward requires three major steps. First, moving beyond the paper compliance to independent third-party HR audits. Second, training that acknowledges that religious coercion is also a form of workplace harassment. And finally, ensuring that the investigation remains truth-based and transparent. We must strengthen our institutions to ensure that a workplace remains a place for professional growth and not a site for fear or coercion. If you found this informative, hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. This is Yogiraj. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.